Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Aisha Rashid Khan from Southern Business School, University of Southern Punjab, Multan. Today we are going to discuss our fourth chapter. By the end of this lecture, students will be able to explain the interactive relationship between business strategy and HRM. Identify and contrast different schools of strategy development. Understand the approaches and levels involved in HR strategy formulation. Apply strategic HR development methodologies in organizational scenarios. Evaluate barriers to strategy implementation and recommended ways to overcome them. And the introduction to HR strategy, and the core concept is that an HR strategy is not merely a static plan or a set of formal documents. It is a perspective and a continuous process that ensures people management is fully aligned with the evolving needs and direction of the business. This means HR strategy involves thinking long term about to attract, develop, retain, and engage talent in ways that support business goals. It requires ongoing analysis, adaptation, and integration with other strategic functions such as finance, operations, and marketing. By viewing HR strategy as a dynamic and strategic mindset, organizations can better respond to changes in the market, workforce expectations, and competitive pressures while ensuring their people remain a core driver of success. And the key thinkers Henry and Pettigrew in 1990s, strategy is interactive, not linear. Henry and Pettigrew challenged the traditional view that strategy follows a simple step-by-step linear process. Instead, they argued that strategy is interactive, meaning it involves through constant interaction between different parts of the organization, such as leadership, HR, external influences, and business needs. In this view, strategy is shaped by dialogue, learning, and adaptation rather than being implemented exactly as originally planned. Key insights: HR strategy should be flexible and responsive, not fixed or overly rationalistic. And Mintzberg in 1988 said that strategy is about preferences, choices, and matches. Henry Mintzberg offered a broader, more human-centered view of strategy. According to him, strategy is not just about formal planning, it's also about organizational preferences, values, and culture, choices, decisions made, and matches fit between the organization and its environment. This definition recognizes that strategy often emerges from real-life actions and decisions rather than top-down planning. Key insight: strategy is a part deliberate and part emergent, instead by real-world behavior, values, and context. For example, imagine a tech startup. Initially, the founders hire friends and connections. As the company scales, HR starts aligning with business goals like innovation, customer satisfaction, and talent retention. The HR strategy emerges based on evolving needs, not from a formal manual. Number second, schools of strategy development. Purcell in 2001 said that design school characteristics: rational, planned, and market focus. The design school views strategy as a deliberate, logical, and analytical process. It emphasizes careful planning based on external market conditions and internal capabilities. In HR terms, this means strategically aligning HR practices to business plans. For example, if a company plans to expand into a new international market, HR would develop targeted training programs to prepare employees with the necessary language skills, cultural awareness, or regulatory knowledge. This shows HR is working in a planned and market responsive way. And the second point, process school characteristics: emergent, intuitive, and based on internal learning and experience. The process school sees strategy as emerging over time through experimentation, learning, and adaptation. It acknowledges that strategy is shaped by internal culture, leadership behavior, and evolving circumstances. For example, if HR notices that a formal, rigid hiring process isn't working well within the company's informal, fast paced culture, it may adjust the recruitment strategy to be more flexible and relationship driven. This is a responsive and evolving approach based on real internal experiences. And the number third is the configuration school characteristics. Context specific align with the organizational life cycle or sector. The configurational school emphasizes that strategies must be tailored to the organization's stage of development, for example, startup, growth, decline, and its broader sectoral environment. It views strategy as dynamic and transformational during critical phases. For example, during a merger or acquisition, HR may need to focus on organizational transformation, integrating cultures, redefining roles, and managing resistance to change. This approach reflects the specific context and stage of the organization. And number third, approaches to HR strategy formulation. Number one, inside out approach. The inside out approach focuses on starting with the organization current internal HR capabilities, such as its people, skills, systems, and culture, and then adapting these to support business goals instead of first looking at the external market or strategy and then shaping HR. This approach begins by analyzing what HR already does well and builds the business strategy around those strengths. For example, a traditional manufacturing firm builds on existing HR policies to improve employee retention. Outside in approach. The outside in approach begins by looking at the external business environment, including customer expectations, market trends, competitors, and technological changes, and then shapes HR strategies to meet those external demands. This approach ensures that HR is fully aligned with what the business needs to succeed in a dynamic competitive environment. For example, a company entering the e-commerce market builds an HR strategy based on competitor analysis and tech talent availability. Integrative linkage. Integrative linkage represents the highest and most strategic level of alignment between human resource management and business strategy. In this approach, HR is not just supporting or implementing business strategy, it is actively involved in shaping it. And number fourth level of strategic decision making, Purcell in 1989. And the number one point is upstream, first order, long-term strategic direction. This level involves high-level strategic decision that shapes the overall future and declines of directions of the organization. These are typically made by top executives and concern major long-term moves. For example, a company deciding to expand its operations into South Asia is making an upstream decision that will influence resource allocation, HR planning, and business structure. And the second point, midstream, second order operational and structural decision. Midstream decisions focus on how the organization deliver its strategy through its operating models and structure. These decisions often involve functional leaders, including HR, and directly impact how work is done. For example, shifting from an in-office to a hybrid working model changes the way teams collaboration, communication, and manage productivity. And number third, downstream, third order, HR policies and practices. These are the most specific and practical decisions focused on implementing strategy at the employee level through policies, procedures, and programs. They typically fall within the HR department's operational scope. For example, introducing a performance-based appraisal system is a downstream decision aligning individual performance with organizational goals. And the fifth point is methodologies for developing HR strategies. Beaker and Houseled's 5 questions in 1998 includes: what are the firm's strategic objectives? Identify the organization's long-term goals such as growth, innovation, cost leadership, or customer service. Since these drive all strategic decisions, including HR, how are they translated into unit objectives? Break down the overall strategy objectives into specific actionable goals at the departmental or business unit levels to ensure alignment across the organization. What drives performance? Determine the key factors, example technology, leadership, customer focus, that lead to high performance within each unit or across the company. How do people influence performance? Analyze how employee behaviors, skills, and motivation impact the key performance drivers and overall organizational outcomes. How does HR affect people? Evaluate how HR practices such as recruitment, training, rewards, and performance management influence employee capabilities, commitment, and contributions. Greater's 6-step model in 2000 built a coalition. Involve key stakeholders from across the organizations to gain commitment and share responsibility for the HR strategy. Number second, imagine the future. Create a shared, compelling vision of the future that inspired action and aligns with business goals. And third point, identify the gap. Assess the difference between the current HR practices and the desired future state to determine what needs to change. And number fourth, map the system. Ensure all parts of the organization and HR strategy are aligned and integrated to support the vision. And number fifth, model the dynamics. Influence future trends, challenges, and organization dynamics to build a robust and forward-looking strategy. And the number six, bridge into action. Translate the vision into concrete actions by setting clear themes, priorities, and implementation steps. And the scenario is that a retail company wants to improve customer service, HR collaborations with marketing, evaluates existing service training, and implements new learning programs tied to KPIs. And the sixth, strategic options and choices. HR choices depend upon business strategy, production systems, labor relations, organization culture. For example, a low-cost airline focuses HR strategy on cost efficiency through lean staffing and flexible scheduling. Number seven, achieving strategic fit and the vertical fit aligned HR practices with business strategy. For example, a company focused on innovation trains for design thinking and agile methods. Horizontal fit bundling ensures internal HR practices support one another. For example, recruitment plus training plus reward linked through a competency framework. And number eight, barriers to effective strategy implementation. Grattan et al. In 1999. Common barriers includes lack of clarity, cultural resistance, mistrust of top management, conflicting initiatives. For example, in a conservative banking firm, a sudden shift to flexible work may be rejected by older employees used to a traditional hierarchy. Number ninth, overcoming barriers, a 7-step plan. Here is a clear and structured explanation of the 7-step plan for overcoming barriers in implementing HR strategies. Number one, conduct a rigorous need analysis. Begin by deeply analyzing the internal and external environment to understand current HR gaps, business needs, workforce dynamics, and future trends. This ensures that the strategy is grounded in reality. And number second, formulate a realistic strategy. Develop an HR strategy that is practical, aligns with business objectives, and is achievable within available resources. Overambitious or vague strategies are harder to implement. Number third, secure executive support. Top leadership commitment is essential. Gaining the backing of senior management ensures access to resources, reinforces strategic importance, and influences organizational culture. And number four, identify and assess barriers. Recognize potential obstacles such as employee resistance, budget constraints, or lack of skills. Assess their impact and likelihood to address them proactively. Number fifth, prepare detailed action plans. Break the strategy into actionable steps with assigned responsibility, timelines, and resources. This makes implementation measurable and trackable. And number six, project manage the rollout. Use structured project management techniques to oversee the implementation. This includes coordinating teams, monitoring progress, and adapting timelines where needed. Monitor, evaluate, and course correct it. Correct continuously, track outcomes using KPIs and feedback loops. Be ready to revise the strategy or its components if things aren't working as planned. Would you like this turned into a slide? Or HR strategy must evolve, not just be planned. Fit and the vertical and horizontal ensures alignment and synergy. Practical implementation is just as crucial as strategy content, continuous evaluation and adaptation. And the case scenario, your company wants to expand into a foreign market with strict labor laws and different work culture. As an HR leader, what would your strategic priorities be? And the discussion is, what methodology will you use? How will you ensure fit? What barriers might you face? And how will you overcome them? Thank you.